Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Nanette Buchanan, and this is iPen Visions Interviews and Conversations. And we're having a morning show, something that is unusual for us. And because of this fantastic person, I decided to give way to my morning ritual, which usually doesn't start till about 11. So I decided to just tell her that, you know what, for you, we'll do this. So we want to bring to you one of the best. And prior to that, as I normally do, I want to just do some background stuff for our sake as well as yours. We want you to understand who we are, what we do, introduce my co host, and then bring on our fantastic guests. So I pen visions, interviews and conversations. We do this once a week on Mondays, usually at 6 o'clock in the evening. We bring on authors, we bring on entrepreneurs, we bring on people that are doing things in the community. We want to celebrate them and bring to you what they do so that you may connect with them and doing some of the things that you do. We invite you to come to be a part of our show. You can be a part of our show by simply just going to our website. You'll see interviews and conversations, and you can give us an email to let us know that you're interested in being a part of our interviews and conversations, as well as what we do to try to promote you. We also have iPen Magazine. We do ads, articles, and subscriptions. And the blessed thing is, if you're a part of our interviews and conversations, you can also be a part of the magazine with a 2-page article as well as your ad. So we do that and we share with you. Um, just wanted to bring in my co-host and then tell you a little bit about our housekeeping and what we do as far as the interviews are. And I welcome my partner in crime, Felice Reeves. Felice, tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Good morning. Good morning, IPN audience. We are so happy that you are here with us. Please forgive me or don't forgive me because I am coming streaming live from vacation. I'm normally in Dallas, Texas. I am in the beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, and with a very good friend of mine. And her friend has invited us into her home. So from her beautiful guest bedroom, I am broadcasting because when I tell you the guest that we have on the show today, just from her bio, I was like, oh my word, I am a great fan. So, again, besides being a fan of her, I'm Felice Reeves, and I consider myself a celebrator of entrepreneurs. And today is no exception. In fact, there's a saying that says you should be the dumbest person in the room. I happily acknowledge that, that I am she today. So, without further ado, I'll hand it back to our beautiful host with the most, Miss Nanette.
Thank you for always being there and always being a part of what we do. Just a little housekeeping for those of you that watch, for those of you that come on and join and celebrate any of our guests. Let's understand that this is an adult viewing. This is not something where we're playing childhood games. It's not something where we're here to ridicule or belittle anyone. So if you're intent on coming on just to say hello and hey, I recognize who she is or who they are, please do not come on with the TMZ and the TikTok attitude that we just accept any and everything and we're bashing and doing all of that. That's not what we're doing. And that's not what we're a part of. And as adults, we want to make sure that you understand that your actions will not be tolerated. And I'm saying this as gently as I can because this happened and I had to go deeper than I would as a talk show host. I had to go a little deeper and deal with a disgruntled viewer. So I'm just letting you know that we do not advertise any bashing or any trying to make your view be the view. You are not a part of that type of audience. Sit back and enjoy, understand, take notes, do whatever you need to do, but you will not contact the guest or our staff to say, hey, we think you need to do this with this person. We're not about that. So with no further ado, I'd like to bring to the stage Miss Tajiri Brackens, Dr. Tajiri Brackens. This woman of excellence. I had
Yes.
opportunity to meet um, a couple of years ago. As a matter of fact, it's been quite a while. We met and instantly connected, and I'm so happy to say that we connected. I can't express how happy I was about being in her audience after I found out, hey, this woman is on point. So I am so happy to be able to connect with you and have you come on to our show and just be, a part of what we do and how we do. So without saying anything else, I want to just open it up to you telling us who you are and how you became today.
Wow. Well, first of all, again, thank you for this opportunity to be able to talk with your audience about my specialty and who I am, who I be, where I come from, and who my people be. So, a little bit of background about me, Dr. Tajiri Brackens, and my specialty, as you very well know, and as your audience is about to know, my specialty is DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is under attack right now. We'll talk about that as we continue the conversation, and I'll give you my viewpoints on that. But it's a DE&I specialist. Alongside, I am a soft skills expert, and we'll again dive into that. So I firmly believe, again, letting you know why these are important to me and why I'm passionate about them. Soft skills, soft skills, soft skills. Um, I'll say it this way: people don't leave their jobs because of money. They leave jobs because of the management, of the organizational culture. And I don't want to say victim to, but I have been subject to that, as far as leaving positions because of that, or just being in a place where I'm not happy, where I have to spend at least 40 hours a week of my time with people that I don't care for. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has felt that way about their employment environment. So with the soft skills, I help leaders to be able to retain employees, increase productivity, which bottom line, with the increase of productivity, the bottom line is increased for the organization altogether. And they don't have to reinvest that money, those funds, into trying to train new people and get them acclimated to what's going on. If you take care of what it is that you have, you don't have to worry about trying to reinvent or try and bring somebody else. I mean, it's just like dating. If you take care of what it is that you got at home, you don't have to worry about them tiptoeing and creeping out. They will stay home as long as you give them a reason to stay home. So that helps with the longevity of the employees, of the team, as far as being able to really hone in on the soft skills. Now, on the other
Okay, it looks like we have a technical difficulty, but soft skills are so important. So we're going to wait and see if we can adjust that screen so we can get back to just what she's saying in regards to the soft skills and what is necessary to actually reconnecting with the employer and reconnecting with the person that has the job. We want them to understand that in order to move on, you have to funnel in on what's important to you when you gain these jobs.
Yeah.
How do you keep a job with what you have and grow in that position if you don't develop some sort of skill? And most of us start a job with just what we know. And some of
Right.
that is the soft skills that she was going delving into.
Hmm.
What do you do about training? How do
Yeah.
you retrain people that you've had on the job for a while? For example, I know myself that I've been on jobs where all of a sudden they have new technical things, they have new operations, they have new things for you to do. Well, part of your soft skills is learning those things without going to formal training. You don't
Right.
go to formal training all the time. Sometimes you learn from the person that already knew. You get trained by someone that's been there for a minute, by someone that can show you the job. These are the soft skills. These are not things that you have to go back and get a degree for, or you have to go back and you can invest in that. But sometimes the soft skill is what carries you over. So,
I,
Felice, what's your view on that?
was this really interesting? And Dr. T, I'm going to call her Dr. T because she gave me that permission, and I love that. 'Cause, in my former position, when I was working recently, I let that go in a job, but we had a training program uh, to bring individuals to start a career in healthcare. And we have implemented a 3 week soft skills training, which was hugely important for especially people going into a career field as opposed to having a job. And I think Dr. T is maybe back with us.
Yes, she's
So
made it back with
I
us.
will I
Mhm.
will lean onto her glorious expertise, even though I have experience in it. But I
Oh,
definitely want to hear the expertise in the soft skills. So, Dr. T, are you there?
I am here. Technology
Okay.
is great when it works, but hey, we
Yes.
can just move right along and keep rolling.
Trust. Trust. Okay. Well, then let's get it rolling.
Continue
Then.
on.
And
Continue
mhm.
on.
So I'm not quite for sure where I left off. I just saw the screen freeze, and it's like, oh no! But then that's when you know the enemy is attacking and doing what he wants to do, because he knew it was some good stuff that was getting ready to come up out of this here little
That
mouth.
is
That's
correct.
right. That's
That
right.
is
That's right.
correct.
But you were
You
talking, you
were.
were talking about the soft
Mhm.
skills. And what we did was we extended it a little bit. And I explained that a lot of our soft skills, and you can expound on it, but a lot of our soft skills are already known. We already know some of these skills. We already have some of these skills. Some of these skills are not skills that require us to go to proper training or back to school. It's just learning the new technique. So
Hmm.
if you can take it from there and expound on that a bit, that's where we were. That's how
Can I
we
just
carried it on.
can I
So go ahead.
right? Can I interject just one really quickly? Can you explain, because not everybody understands what soft skills is? So can you start with that and then expand?
Absolutely. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes versions. Hopefully, your audience is old enough to remember what what Cliff Notes were.
Hmm.
Um, Soft skills, basically learning how to talk to people and get along with people. It's the intangible things that you do, as far as a lot of people talk about communication, we'll talk about empathy. Again, those soft skills, those intangible things. And it's in those things that build the relationship between people, whether that be professionally or whether that be personally. It's those things where you bond, the bonding mechanisms, the glue that holds you together with person X, person B. As Nanette mentioned in the beginning, we hit it off immediately when we were at the conference overseas in Paris, which I had never been. So that was a great time that we had. But it was the soft skills, the connectability, the connection that we had that we were able to be drawn to each other and continue the relationship from there. So that's basically what soft skills are.
Yes, and I think what the audience also needs to understand, Dr. T, is that these soft skills are what develops you to move on in
Mhm.
your hardened skills.
Mhm.
So if you don't have those soft
Absolutely.
skills, I
Absolutely.
can't
So,
I can't
um,
teach you what I know if I can't even connect with you.
absolutely.
If I can't connect with you, I can't teach you the new computer program that they want you to take a 6 months course in, but I already know it. I'm not going to sit there and show you this course or show you
Right.
the shortcuts if you and I can't develop some type of skill between us and an
Absolutely.
understanding between us. So we need that to progress in our fields.
Absolutely. So if you look at it in the professional manner, those leaders, those managers that if they ask you, let me put it this way. So if you have a relationship with a team member or your management team, um, if they ask you to do a favor for them because of the relationship that you have, even if your plate is full, completely full, you'll figure out a way because of the relationship and who the person is and what they mean to you. You'll figure out a way to do whatever it is that they've asked you to do. Whereas if you don't really have that relationship with someone, then you'll do what they ask you to do out of your character and who you are to the core, but you won't have as much zeal to be able to, or the zeal behind it for fulfilling that favor. And that, again, is because of the relationship that you have with them. I'll push it even further. Let's say a farmer who's independent can do everything for themselves. They can grow their own crop, they can till it and what have you, but they're still going to have to rely on somebody else for some of the basics, i.e., they're going to have to go buy some seed from somewhere so that they can grow that crop for the initial crop. Now, I'm not a farmer. Agriculture is not my thing, but I understand basics. And, they've got to go get the seed from somewhere. And then they're eventually going to have to get equipment so that they can till the soil. They're going to have to rely on some type of irrigation system. I mean, although rain is great, but that doesn't come as often as it may need to based on whatever type of crop it is that's being produced. So there's some type of irrigation system that's going to have to be installed so that the crop can grow. And with that, you've got to go to somebody else to be able to get that irrigation system. And once you get all of those pieces together, then you're able to be quote unquote self-sufficient, but you still have to rely on somebody else in order to be able to get to that point for some of your basics to begin with.
So basically what you're saying is, let's just look at exactly what you're saying. Without communication, without an open line of understanding between two people on a job or two people in an industry or two people, supplier and those that demand the supplies, we cannot have what we call problematic situations. And
Mhm.
to avoid them, we need to develop the self skills and the soft skills.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
need to have that. So,
Absolutely.
do you think in connection to that, that goes back to your DEI?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because DE and I is not just about race relations, which a lot of people will, or corporate America, or the other narratives that are put out there that DE&I is just simply about race relations. It clearly is not. DE&I affects education, it affects housing, it affects finances, it affects politics, which we are clearly seeing right now. Um, it affects so many different areas of our lives, and it's not just about the race relations slash racism. So it looks at all of the other isms as well: sexism, racism, ableism, whatever other kind of isms you can think about. It affects all of that as well. So if you look at, your redlining, for those of us that are familiar with redlining, and if you're not, basically it's keeping a marginalized people out of specific areas as far as lodging is concerned. So, you look at those different things. You look at financing. Since I just mentioned housing, you look at the financing for being able to get housing and how they do the subprime lending. That is DE&I race relations on that end. You look at your sexism, our Supreme Court and all of the stuff that's going on now. If you that's all sexism. And that has to do with DE&I and superiority as far as an Anglo male having more power and more control than an African American woman, an African American male, a woman, period. So DE&I just affects every other aspect of our life. It's not just one particular place where it fits in, where it's applicable. And once I started looking at it that way, I was like, OMGZ, there's so much more to this that people don't talk about, that they don't think about, that they need to think about, because it affects their entire livelihood and lifestyle.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
well, I just wanted to make mention of that too, because one of the things that a lot of people don't even think about is in our world now, in the workforce especially, we have multi generational um, representatives in there. And that part is also why we need the diversity and inclusion.
Mm-hmm,
Um, because in our generation, we did we did business way different than this current generation here.
mm-hmm,
And so, from old school, we don't necessarily understand the new school thinking and vice versa. And then the people that are in between have a bit of a better grasp of each side of it. But again,
right.
it is, yeah, that's one of the big things. And so, as you're saying about race, it's not about race in its entirety. It is really about the multifaceted world that we live in, whether it be, even if you are of the same ethnicity, the cultures are different, even.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm grateful that we're having this conversation.
And who do we talk to make them see this difference? Because working in from family to community to education to community politics, um, to laws, to um, the courtroom, to the jail, to everything has become so diverse in everything that it does, that when you go to talk to someone, how do you not be offending someone else? Because you exclude, your problem may not include their problem. So when you go to talk to the higher ups, and I'm just going to leave it that way as a
Mm-hmm.
general
Mm-hmm.
overhead. When you go to talk to the higher ups and you say to them, "Hey, you can't take this child and sit them outside of the classroom and they not learn for the hour because they disrupted the classroom without dealing with the disruption." But then if you deal with their disruption, what are you doing about the children that saw the disruption and don't understand the disruption? So now you got a parent on one side saying, yes, that happened, and now my child. You see what I'm saying? You have
Mm-hmm.
the parent that's saying, you took my child out of the class, and now my child. You have the teacher that's saying, you disrupted the class, and I couldn't get this curriculum done, and it's my problem. So everybody in one particular problem, there's like wings to that problem that extend So when you present it, as you would, Dr. T, you would present it to the Board of Education, say, saying that the way that you can solve this is XYZ, but in essence, are we only solving one part of the problem?
So with what I do, I mean, it's again, it's all relational. I
Mm-hmm.
hashtag it emerald connections, because I use childhood stories in order to demonstrate the points of soft skills and the concepts of soft skills. Because I firmly believe that if it is simple to understand, then you're able to grasp it and then be able to execute what it is that you have picked up or what has been taught to you. So I use the Wiz because that was one of my favorite childhood stories. And looking at Dorothy and her friends and how they come from different pedigrees, different backgrounds, but they all had to work together in order to reach the common goal of getting to the Wiz. So in using childhood stories and simplifying it, it makes it a lot easier to digest. It's more palatable, so that it's again executable from that point. I also use candy. Everybody has had some type of candy at some point in their life. And I look at the different, here again, the different pedigrees of different types of candy and seeing the lessons, the soft skill lessons and the relational, the emerald connections that we can learn from candy. In a nutshell, candy is sweet. It has every type of candy has some type of foundation to it, which is there's some type of sweetener that's going to be in it. We as people, we have some commonalities amongst us all. So with using again the candy, it makes it very, very easy. And then showing you the different type of personalities that you have amongst your team. Since you mentioned education, those in your classroom or even the staff that you work with. So when you come upon XYZ person and you realize, um, oh, this is a hot tamale. I
Right.
remember what she said. Oh, that's a red hot. I remember that. And that helps you to understand them better as
Mm-hmm.
far as who they are and what their temperament is. And once you understand the temperaments, then you can better communicate, you can better relate, you can have stronger emerald connections with those people. And then you can get to, oh, well, this is how they understand, this is how they relate, let me talk in their language so that we can get to the end goal or whatever task that we're trying to complete or whatever the case may be. Now I know how to talk to you so we can move past this
Mm-hmm.
um this disagreement or this not being able to communicate and not being able to understand. So that eliminates that aspect of it. But then on the other side of that coin is you have to be willing to want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be willing to want to understand somebody else and where they're coming from. And Dr. Jeremiah Wright said it some time ago, and it just stuck with me, and it made so much doggone sense. And what he said was different is not deficient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Different is not deficient. That's just another way of thinking about things. Just, if again, giving you another example, okay, you put into your GPS, you want to get from point A to point B. Waze may take you one way. Google Maps may take you another way. Apple Maps, I'm sorry, I'm not an Apple person, but I mean, whatever it is that they have, so that's why I'm calling it Apple Maps,
It's
that may take you a different direction. And there may be some places where you go down the same street, but your way of getting there is not always the same, but your end result, your destination where you're going to is going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I tell you that your way is wrong just because you have a different way of getting there? And when you look at the different ways of getting there, sometimes it's more efficient,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to cut down on the time that you're spending trying to solve the problem. And if you're able to spend less time trying to solve the problem, going back to what I said earlier, you're able to be more productive.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when it's all said and done, organizations want to be more productive so that their bottom line can increase.
Mhm. I think that you've hit on something that is a major aha moment for me. And you and I always go through those aha moments, and we Felice, so that you'll know, we have tagged them as jewels. We drop jewels with each other, and smile and laugh and say, ah, that's a jewel. I got to put that jewel on that necklace and wear that jewel. And different is not deficient is one of those jewels. We have to understand that in these changing times, to
Yeah.
meet people that are different, to meet people that are of a different background, different languages, different cultures, different ways of doing things, even in our own, like Felice said, even in our own families. We don't do it the same way as grandma did it,
Right.
and Lord knows if we don't do it the same way as grandma did it, our kids sure are not going to do it the same way as grandma did it. So being different does not mean that you're deficient in any way, or it's deficient in any way. It just means that there's a different way to go and gain the same access. So I think that this was
Absolutely.
a beautiful, beautiful um, drill to take people through so that they can understand it. They can understand it,
Yeah.
because without communication, we're lost. We're lost.
Totally, totally, totally,
Absolutely.
totally. And another nugget that I had, because again, piece of jewels that keep popping up to me, that make it very relevant in what it is that I do in the DEI area arena, alongside the soft skills arena. But this particular one had to do with DEI, and what I heard was to be anti DNI is to be anti-capitalist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let that sit in for a
Wow.
moment. To be anti DEI is to be anti capitalist, because now you're limiting who it is that you're affiliating with
Mm-hmm.
and what you're able to gain from them. So if we're looking at it as far as business to business, if I don't like your pecans and I'm trying to make a pecan pie, it ain't gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, you just gonna have a pie. Now, what kind of pie you gonna have, I don't know, but it ain't gonna be a pecan pie. If I have an issue with pecans, now I
Mm-hmm.
got to look at another type of pie that is more palatable for me, that I'm going to want. Okay, so now I go to this different type of this different type of pie. Let's say it's sweet potatoes. Now, sister love us some sweet potato pie. So, okay, I'm not on the pecan pie bandwagon, but you talk about that sweet potato pie, I'm down all day long. And I'm figuring out different ways to even make a sweet potato pie. Not everybody does it the same. Some people put pecans on theirs, as far as some may do a graham cracker crust. I put a little something something in mine and makes it real good.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you too. I believe you. Yours is real good.
So, some people may do a dollop of whipped cream on top of theirs. I mean, there's different ways of making, here again, the same type of pie, but it may not be the way that you do it. It may not be the way that your grandmama, grandma, or your G mama, whatever it is that you call her, Medea, the way that she did it. But again, does that mean that it's wrong because
Well,
it's done a specific way? No. In
now
fact,
let me ask you this. When you say this, okay, when you say why, well, we know why they don't tell you about. Because what we don't tell you about, you won't recognize, and you won't understand what we're doing behind the closed door.
hmm
So
hmm
that's an automatic. We are now realizing the effect, because I believe that all of this was going on during the Martin Luther King era and prior to that, and during, in history.
hmm
So the thing about this is to be, the diversity and having the education and understanding of what it is. Like you said, with the pecan pie, I will disguise my pie. so that you don't know that I don't like pecan pie. I will
Mhm.
never reveal to you that I don't like pecan pie. But when you're shoving pies in front of me and I don't see that sweet potato pie that I could divert to just to be inclusive, you see what I'm saying? We're
Mhm.
all there for pies, but I want my particular pie to be the one that's the headliner because
Mhm.
I don't really want to be inclusive. But in
Mhm.
order for me to fit in, I have to be. I have to be. So this diversity thing, we preached it, we marched it, we yelled about it. But there are some that just never wanted to be included the way that they,
Absolutely.
the way that they are now. And when you're trying to preach it, as Felice mentioned earlier, when you're trying to preach it to this different culture and this different way of understanding, and these kids that only want to look at what's on Google and only want to look at what's on TikTok and only want to look at what is presented to them as opposed to reading history. That's why they're trying to remove history. Because if we disguise what was done, you'll never know what we're doing.
The people perish for a lack of knowledge. And what gets me in the trying to whitewash all of history. How can you say that? Let me make sure that I say this right so that it's real clear as to what I am saying and what I am meaning. I don't want it to be confused in any type of way. How can you eliminate part of history when it was that history that you're trying to eliminate that built where you are now?
Exactly.
That has contributed to where you are now. You can't. So I'll use the internet for example. Everybody practically uses the internet, whether it be through their phone or whether it be through the computer. Internet is being consumed through so many different channels. Now, many of us know, not all, and if this is new to you, hey, as they say, you learn something new every day. But the internet was created by an African American man.
Mm-hmm.
So if you you see what I'm saying? So if you try and alleviate that part of history, well, it was because of what he created that you're now able to go on to these different platforms
Mm-hmm.
and give your message and be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. So you can't escape, you can't erase what it is that has been done historically because what has been done historically has helped you where you are now.
Mm-hmm. And okay, so now if someone like yourself, if I'm in a corporation, or maybe I'm not in a corporation, maybe I have a group, maybe I have a community group of teens, or maybe I have a community group of adults that are trying to regain or gain their purpose. They're trying to be involved. What or do you touch those type of organizations? What type of organizations do you connect with to bring this awareness to them and to help them move forward?
So as an entrepreneur, they tell you that you can't be for everybody.
Mhm.
You have to be in a specific niche. However, I think because of what I do, there may be a little bit of leeway with that because it has to do with relationships, whether it be customer to a business to customer, business to business, business to whatever the stakeholder may be at that time. So with that, I would come in again with the soft skills and the relationship building, the emerald connections, and how this is going to affect you in the long run with everything that it is that you do within your life. If you think about when we were in school, how they said that geometry, we needed to learn geometry because we were going to need it at some point in our life. Now, while we were going through that, this here don't make no sense. I know that's grammatically incorrect, but
Okay.
this here don't make no sense. I'm not getting it. But one of the many lessons that has still held to me today, even though I didn't like math, and just again using the geometry example, I understand the shortest distance from point A to point B is a
A straight
straight
line.
line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm still using what I learned then in in my life today. You know, if you look at the grammar and the English side of it, what did we learn? I over E. Excuse me, I before E except after C. I'm still using that to this day when I'm spelling stuff out and I get tripped up on a spelling. You know, just those little things, those little lessons that stick with us or that we're taught that later we end up having to implement. So it's again going with the soft skills and the relationships and the emerald connections that I hone in on. And then from there, they take it and they use it when it's applicable. They will use it. They will remember, you know, even with sermons, when we go to church, we hear sermons. Yeah, you all up in my neighborhood, Pastor, today. And next week, I may understand
Mm-hmm.
what it is that you're saying, but until I get into a situation where I need to go pull that message out so that I can get through whatever trials, tribulations that I'm going through at that time, it's just going to it sits in the database until it's ready to be executed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the response with a lot of your clients that you deal with, are they of course they of their if they're clients, they're appreciative of what you do, and of course they understand where you're going with it. Have they come back to you with any difficulties about people understanding exactly what it is?
So as of yet, I have not, and that's because I make it so simple. When you break it down to where, you know, I often say to where a 2-year-old can understand it, where a 3-year-old can understand it, then you take away the ambiguity of the discussion of the topic. And again, it's making it very palatable so that it can then be executable. People understand candy. People understand childhood stories because we were all told childhood stories. Little Red Riding Hood, three little pigs, um, uh, the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I mean, those lessons we've learned as children, and they break them down so that they are lessons that will take you through
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you read
being
any
able to break it
books?
down.
Any books or any journals or anything that people can hold on to, that instead of them taking their own notes, they can just go and purchase some of your notes?
Absolutely. So my leadership book, which is Power, Privilege, and Humility, unveiling the leadership, unveiling the layers of leadership lessons learned. Um, Being in corporate America, being an entrepreneur for over 35 years, a big chunk of that was in direct sales and having to learn the people skills, the soft skills. I picked up quite a few things where I realized, okay, those teams that were very productive, that were just killing the game, versus the other teams that were just barely getting by. And in diving into that, looking at what it was, what made this particular team better than this particular team. And with that, that's when I was able to bridge the gap of the soft skills and the relationships. So those are some of the leadership lessons learned that I was able to pull out from working in corporate America. And once you learn those soft skills, they're transferable. So it really doesn't matter what environment you're in, you're still able to execute those soft skills. So in corporate America, as I was with an airline that is no longer in existence. They have merged. But when I worked for them and I was able to get information, because that particular department I was in, uh, oh Lord, why am I drawing a blank? Yeah, I'm drawing a complete blank. It accounts receivable, accounts payable. That's accounts payable and accounts receivable. So in being in that department, there would be things that I needed so that I can reconcile the credit card statements. I would ask whoever card, John Doe or what have you, hey, I need this particular item from you so that I can reconcile your reports. Well, when I would ask, because I had built some of the relationships and now my soft skills were heightened and I was in tune with that, I got most of the information that I needed, that I requested, like that. Whereas other people in the department, they weren't able to get it as quickly as I was. And sometimes it was just as simple as, hey, how you doing today? When I would see them pass by,
Mhm.
taking some small little steps. It doesn't take a whole lot. As I believe it was Franklin D. Roosevelt, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So, hey, I may notice that you don't have a smile on your face. That's not a part of, that's totally out of character from what I have seen from you within the office. Hey, what's going on? And they may begin to say XYZ. Well, now I know a little bit more about them personally, and I've taken a vested interest in them versus just what has to be done here within the organization, within the company. And so, if I see them walking by, hey, how's your wife? How the kids? Have they gone through school? Yeah, have they graduated? I mean, just those little things that lets them know I care about you as a person, not just about what this job is about.
And I think that's what the problem is nowadays with a lot of the complaints. I have grandchildren that are now entering the workforce, and they're going into finding out that the little job that they might have had while they were in college and high school is no longer the job that's going to sustain them as an adult. So they're going
Mhm,
into, bigger jobs and or taking on managerial positions in the
mhm,
job that they have. And now
mhm,
they have to deal with people like them. They now
mhm,
have to deal with people that are just like them, that don't want to get up on time, that don't want to do what they're supposed to do while they're on the job, those that are looking for shortcuts and those that are doing
mhm.
that. And this soft skills thing is the major problem. The soft
Yep.
skills, like you said, making that connection, and I don't want to talk to them, and I don't like the way they look, and I don't like, no, that has nothing to do with what your job performance is,
Mhm.
especially when you become the manager, especially when you become the supervisor, especially when,
Absolutely.
and a lot of them that are going from college are the ones that are becoming in management. I was shocked, when my
Mhm.
grandson said, yeah, I'm the manager. You the who? you know
Right.
because he's getting it from both ends. He's getting it from the customers, because when they come in with a complaint, they say they want to see a manager, and he says he's the manager, and he's 23, and he's the manager, but he's been working in fast food since he was 15. So
Right.
his skills are not lacking. He knows exactly what has to be done. He runs the whole thing, but they can't believe that at 23, I got to talk to a 23-year-old about this problem, you know?
And that's where the ageism comes into place. I
Mhm.
mentioned that earlier as far as
Right.
DEI. That's where the ageism comes into play. So it's just, as I so get I so get it because I look at things differently because this is my niche and this is what I do. I can't turn it off.
Mhm.
I can't turn it off because I'm always seeing DE&I and soft skills in everything that I encountered. Again, I can't turn that that wheel off even when I'm asleep. Holy Spirit is dropping something to me, waking me out of my sleep, saying, girl, you need to go do this, or you need to look at this, that, and that, and the other. And I'm going to even push the envelope a little bit further. You touched on it earlier, as far as in the religion industry, with inclusivity.
Mhm.
And this is probably going to step on some toes, but oh well, as my pastor used to say, if you can't say amen, say ouch. How can you say, how can you say that you believe in this doctrine and stand on this doctrine and in my word, even in the different translations, it says whosoever. And whosoever is inclusive of everybody, not just
Mhm.
some of these people, not just this group over here, but it's inclusive of everybody. So how can you say that this is what you believe in the doctrine and in Jesus's teachings and what have you, but yet you want to be exclusive, not inclusive of what it is that the word says?
Mhm.
How can you? So I have an issue when it comes to evangelicals that really do that stark difference. Now there's a difference in focus on a particular culture or a particular group, but even within that, it's not exclusive, because word, word talks about Israelites, word talks about the different
Mhm.
ethnicities, the different cultures, those that were not supposed to be
Mhm.
in proximity with other particular
Mhm.
ethnicities and what have you. So the word does address that, but the word also comes back and says whosoever.
Right. And not only that, the thing about it is we have to understand that everyone's interpretation of any reading that they get is different. Everyone interprets what they read for what they want it to say.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, there's a
Make
lot
it fit
of
for
times
them.
it makes it fit for them. I've had many of debates and discussions with people of different religious beliefs and different things like that, and I try to explain it as I'm a spiritual person. I'm just a spiritual person. I can sit down and read anyone's doctrine if it relates, because of the simple fact that when you read them all, they all relate.
Mhm.
When you read them thoroughly, they all relate. So I come from North America, I come from South America, I come from Central America, but we all know we live in the Americas. It's got to be, it's
Mhm.
all relative if you pay attention to what they're saying. And like you said, in it, it says whosoever. In it tells you that, yeah, I'm talking about you. Yeah, it's about you. But in this diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff, um, we look at it, diversity is one thing. We look at equality as another thing. We look at inclusion as another. When it's all the same, it's saying the same thing,
Yeah.
that we've got to become
It
better
all works
people
together.
because it all works together. And I am so happy that you are a person that has taken it by the horn and said, "Hey, look, I'm shedding some light on this. I'm
Mhm.
shedding some light on this. There are others that have shed light on it, but I'm shedding some light on it on the lower level. You don't have to go to a convention to hear me talk about vote for me in order for you to hear this, because it's not my platform. I'm not looking for you to vote for me, but I'm looking for you to listen. I'm looking for you to pay attention, because
Mhm.
just giving you a little bit of understanding so that our audience can understand too. This doesn't just happen on the higher levels. This doesn't just happen when you go in a courtroom and you try to explain your situation. It doesn't just happen when a cop pulls you over and you're driving while black. It doesn't
Right.
just happen in the classroom where your child has ADHD and he's being treated different. It doesn't just happen in the home where the
Right.
man assumes that he runs the house and you have no voice. This happens throughout life in so many
Right.
different areas, that we need to understand that the soft skills that you spoke about blanket everything.
Yes.
They blanket all of that. And we don't look at things and put them together that way. We look at it as this puzzle where we got to turn pieces. If we just put it together, just put everything together and understand where it comes from and how it comes in, we can do a lot better. We can do a lot better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, that's why I encourage people to reach out, to connect with me so that we can continue the conversation. And sometimes in continuing the conversation, there are some hard topics that come up, that you just really don't want to deal with, but You have to deal with it. Truth will set you free. You have to face it at some point so that you can move forward. Because then, if you stay in denial, you're going to continue to have those rough spots, those rough patches, those challenges that you feel like, I can't get past this. How am I supposed to move forward? So you've got to have the conversations in order to be able to grow. I'll
Exactly.
just leave it at that. You got to have the conversations to be able to grow, and not just having the conversations. It's what you do with the conversation. So if you get
Exactly.
the knowledge, what are
Right.
you going to do with it in order to grow? Are you just going to hold on to it and stay stagnant in that place, or are you really vested in your own personal growth and wanting to do better and wanting to have better and wanting to just be in a better position and in a better place than where you are right now?
Well, what I wanted to get in right before we sign out was one of your sayings was the greatest blessings are wrapped in sandpaper.
Yes.
That is
Mm. Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
That
Do
that
tell.
that is phenomenal. That I didn't think about it, and then I read it, and I read it again, and I read it again, and I said, wait a minute. This jewel right here needs to be the piece that hangs right in the middle, with all the other jewels
The
connected to
centerpiece.
it. It needs to be the centerpiece that we have to understand that sometimes that right there is a dominant. So explain, doctor. Give me some medicine with this.
You want some medicine with it? Now, do you just want an aspirin or do you want some codone, hydrocodone 3? Which one do you want? Tell me how you want it.
Oh my goodness. I saw this and just it just got me. It just got me. So explain to the audience exactly what you mean with this.
So, they say there's purpose in the pain. I mean, there's different ways that it's dressed up. And in short, the greatest growth, our elevation, our next level typically comes from a place of something that has hurt us, something that was uncomfortable for us. If you look at a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of times businesses are started or entrepreneurs are generated because of a bad experience in corporate America, because of being terminated, or being frustrated because you're not getting the position that you want for the money that you want. So, as a saying, and I know I'm probably going to twist this up, but necessity creates invention.
Hmm.
So from there, you're able to grow and get whatever it is that you need for you personally. You're going to figure out a way to get the funds, the income that you want. Those people that have relational sandpapers,
Mm-hmm.
surfaces that needed to be smoothed out. Okay, Holy Spirit, I hear you. So it's the sandpaper that smooths out the surface on wood. You get you have, a raw piece of wood, you've got the splinters and everything, but when you take that sandpaper, it begins to smooth it out so that you can then touch it without getting the splinters, or you're able to use it in whatever way that you need to. So that sandpaper, its coarseness wrapped around whatever it is that needs to be smoothed out, that needs to be polished, is what is able to transition as part of the process, the part of the growth of getting to the next level.
Oh my goodness, do I love it? Do I love it? Do I love it? Felice, what do you think, Felice? What do you think? We got some sandpaper that we need to work with.
Yeah, but Nanette, let me tell you what I really think. Really, this hour is not enough for all the wisdom that needs to be imparted from Dr. T. So I really think there needs to be a part two. That's just me thinking, but okay.
Well, you know what? We're
I'm
going
ready.
we're
Good.
gonna we're gonna have the doctor come on every now and then to tune up
Yeah.
some of these people and let them
Okay.
know that, hey, this has got to be something that maybe we need to do simply because
Mhm.
we need it. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you look at stuff and you said, did you take your vitamin today? Well,
Mhm.
somebody needs to take a vitamin of Dr. T. You know, did you get your
Yes, yes,
dose?
yes, I
Did
agree.
did
I
you get your
get your
dose? Did
vitamin
you get
T here, right here.
your
Vitamin
vitamin
T.
T? You need this vitamin because and to be honest with you, Felice, as well as the audience, that's how we connected. That's how we connected. We were sitting in a close proximity of each other during this convention, and we were listening
Mhm.
to the speakers as they spoke. And every now and then I would say something, and she said, "Girl, drop them jewels," you know. So we would be going back and forth with each
Mhm.
other in our own conversation because we were understanding what was being platformed, but we
Yeah.
also had our own opinions about it. And I think
Mhm.
the more
Yeah.
people have this open communication about their growth, their
Mhm.
stifled conscious and different things, these are the
Yeah.
things that Dr. T takes care of. And you
Mm.
guys, we want you to remain in contact with her. Please go to her website and talk to her about some of these things that you may be going through, some of the things that your company may need, or your business may need, or you may need personally. Reach out to her because she is a soft skills expert. She is someone that will tell you what you need, and probably behind everything that you have is the fact that there is a little DE and I. That there is some of that going on. Anytime you're being held back, there is some of that, and some of that you have to make sure that you yourself admit to what your power is, what privileges do you have, and admit you have humility. Admit you have some of these things
Mhm.
going on. So, Dr. T, I want to thank you. I definitely want to talk to you about coming back and joining us again, but I want
Let
to,
me know.
because I think that periodically we need this. We need this for our community. We need this
Absolutely.
for our professions, and we need this for self growth. I think that
Absolutely.
we need to have this. So I thank you immensely for being here. Of course, Felice, I thank you and love you madly. Enjoy your vacation until next Monday, because next Monday you're back on duty again. But
Yes.
enjoy your vacation, baby. Enjoy your vacation. It's well deserved and well needed. And audience, I'll talk to you later. And thank you for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye. I look
You
forward to
got
the next
it.
time.
Yes.
Mm.
Uh-huh.